Today we're going to talk about Victor, the D90 by Helderburg. So the name, let's start off with that. I put a lot of thought and process into the name, and this one was no different. In fact, Aaron, the client, where this one's going to Michigan, he's waited a while. He's been really excited. He came to visit. He brought his son. We spent the day together. We had a lot of fun. They took a lot of pictures, and unfortunately, Aaron did not drive it because the weather has been so just horrible here lately. Well, all winter. But anyway, so let's talk about the name Victor. Walter Wintle, which was a famous poet. In fact, we don't even know if that's his name. We don't really know if much about him at all, but definitely wrote a work that's very popular. And I was reading it a couple of weeks ago, and Aaron kept on saying, "Paul, what are you going to name my Defender?" And I'm like, "It's coming, it's coming, it's coming." And when I was reading one of Walter's famous poems, I said, yes, that is the name. And that's because I got to know Aaron and learn some background about him. So the poem in itself: if you think you are beaten, you are. If you dare not, you don't. If you like to win and think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. For out in the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself to win the prize. Life's battles don't always go to the faster or stronger man, but soon or late, it's the man who thinks he can. So that's Victor. And again, knowing Aaron, I felt that he would really appreciate that poem, and it would describe his brand new Helderburg D90. Now, let's talk about the options. So let's talk about the color. The color is the first thing that you will notice, and it is a Fuji white, which is a typical Land Rover color. It's a clean white, not to be confused with Arctic white like Maxim was. Maxim is actually an Arctic white, which has a really light blue tint, but you won't see it in the pictures, but you'll see it in the snow. This is as white as it comes. Headlight surrounds, billet aluminum Helderburg, and then traditional Helderburg lights with the broken beam, of course, as you would expect. And then it does have the clear markers on top, orange markers on the bottom, just to give it a little pop of color, which goes really well with the solid black made in Germany grille that just gives that great contrast. A very simple bumper with the driving lights, and did add the red tow hooks for just a splash of color. So it is a 300 TDI that's been performance tuned, which means it gets a custom cylinder head, custom injection pump, VNT turbo, custom intercooler, custom performance exhaust, and then it's been re-geared all the way through. So what the gearing does is it allows it to be driven on the highway, so it's not running the RPMs up really high. So we took the farm truck appeal out of it when it comes to the gearing, the engine, the transmission, and all that, and made it where he can use it as a daily driver. So the idea behind the design really came back to when Aaron drove from Michigan. He stopped into the dealership on his way here, picked up his brand new white Porsche GT3, and when he showed up, I was like, perfect. Now I know the color. I know exactly how we're going to design your Defender. And he said, really? Seriously? And I'm like, yeah, why not? You can have a Defender and a Porsche. They all match. And he goes, well, that's perfect because I already have two other cars that are white too of other models. So Aaron has, well, at least that's what he said when he was here. I think he's added more than those two now. So I think he has more than 4 total. Who knows how many, but they're all turning out to be white. So I think I maybe possibly helped him start a trend with white vehicles where he continued on. Inside, you'll notice something too, since I felt like we needed to complete it. His Porsche GT3 also had red seat belts, so does Victor. Adds a nice little touch. And then the seats inside too have much more of a sport-inspired seat, bucket seat. Knowing this guy, he's probably going to need those firm hold-on seats because he drives like a maniac, which is going to be fun to see with his Defender. So again, 300 TDI, 5-speed manual transmission, all performance tuned. It has that deep tone sound. And then as far as the wheels are a design that I've used a couple other times. I used it on Hermes, and I also used it on Ada. It's a bowler style wheel. It's a lightweight alloy wheel. It's an 18-inch wheel. and they just look fantastic. They do not have center hubs. It gives that rustic feel, but it works out perfectly. And then he is riding on BF Goodrich KM3s. And the ride, the performance, this thing is very peppy, as you would expect it to be. Is peppy a word? But you understand exactly what I'm saying. Does have the Puma bonnet. Did not do the louvers cut into the bonnet because we wanted to keep it very clean and streamlined, just like his GT3. What else can I tell you about it? Other than it's clean, it's precise, it drives great, and it's leaving tomorrow. So Aaron's going to have it in Michigan just in time to have fun in the spring and the summer. But I wouldn't want to be in his shoes right now because he's going to have to make the decision. Do I drive the Porsche or do I drive the Defender? And I will tell you, being a multiple Porsche owner, the Defender gets a lot more attention than the Porsche does. I know, it's sad. You wouldn't think so, but it's a fact. So the first thing you're going to notice is this interior is dark. It's all black, and I already mentioned the sport racing seat in here, but it's nice. Diamond stitch, and it has a light gray stitching, and everything's light gray, but everything is covered in leather. The instrument binnacle's leather, the dash is leather, of course the seats, the shifter boot, the brake boot, and then the center console is a locking center console. Don't know if he's going to need the locking part, but it's always nice to have so you can carry your camera with you or whatever else you want to carry. And then of course I mentioned the red seat belts, which give it a really nice accent. And then of course you'll notice the Momo steering wheel that actually has the gray stitching on it too, as do the sun visors themselves. It does have the Alpine high fidelity sound system, which that screen is huge. It's an 11-inch screen, but it fits nicely. And then right below it, he's got his Helderburg custom badge. We have to get that engraved before that leaves because it will have build, Victor, and then as far as bespoke built for, Aaron. It's a nice design. It's clean. It's simple. Alcantara headliner, which is the suede, and it's also in black. 2 center-facing bench seats, seating for 4 back there. There is no wood floor because, again, we were really copying that Porsche GT3. So it's all about simplicity and making everything where it just works together and not overdoing it all. Not saying the wood's overdoing it, but this is supposed to be basically Fast and Furious, I guess. But I do like it. It all works. Monotone. So one of the things that I'll mention too, it does have a backup camera, which is built into the rear tail light, not tail light, I'm sorry, but the license plate light. The camera's built into that. And one of the things that we do on a Helderburg too is the hands-free microphone is built into the headliner. So that's a nice little touch versus you'll see a lot of other Defenders, let's just put it that way, that they put the hands-free mic and it's just like a little microphone that's stuck down there. It's just kind of added in, but I like this. Hands-free 2.0 is going to be dual mics, so then your passenger can be heard when you're making those hands-free calls also.